This podcast is also available via stagelink.com, the groundbreaking new platform for live performing arts. Please support the podcast by liking, subscribing, commenting, and tagging the podcast. It helps us to continue to bring the industry high level content. I'm your host, Shanae Stiletto, and my guest on today's Circuspreneur podcast is Cirque artist, small business owner, and entrepreneur or circuspreneur, Caroline Lauzon. Welcome to the podcast, Caroline.
Thank you for having me. Hi.
Hi, we're so you're so fabulous. We are so honored. And Carolyn came highly recommended for the podcast. And so we're so excited to have her on today and to tell you a little bit about Carolyn's background. We are spotlighting her. She is a former Canadian national team diver and junior champion gymnast who leapt from the 10-meter platform to the global stage with Cirque du Soleil. For over 20 years, Carolyn has performed around the world, including the 2012 Academy Awards. She's appeared in shows like Iris, Zarkana, Ka, and she's currently in O again.
Yes.
Carolyn has also built a second career fueled by her lifelong love of design and real estate. She is a creator, renovator, business owner, and problem solver who sees potential everywhere, whether on stage, on screen, or inside a home ready for renewal. Carolyn joins us to talk about reinvention, creative entrepreneurship, motherhood, and how circus artists build the kind of resilience that carries into every corner of life. You have an absolutely phenomenal background, and I love that you came from the world of sport, Carolyn, because that is my entry into the circus or the Cirque world. You are a Las Vegas local, and you are absolutely killing it in the real estate bubble of the generations of, I think, real estate, circus kind of entrepreneurs, that have existed in Vegas. And, it's become, I think, a really, powerful way to have a dual career when you are local to Las Vegas.
Absolutely. And having the night schedule, first of all, thank you so much for this introduction. I don't know what else I can say more after this beautiful introduction. So thank you for that. But
Pleasure.
yeah, having the night schedule, once you kind of get used to it and you're in the show for a long time, I think a lot of people are like, what do I do with my time? Like, I should probably learn something else. So I think it's a gradual thing and it's a natural thing. Once you've been in the show for a while, you're like, okay, I got this down. Now, what else do I do with my time? So,
Well, I mean, you juggle so many hats: motherhood, going to Cirque du Soleil at night, building up your business during the day. How did you do that? I mean, where also, where do you find the time? Because it, is not just an easy thing to do. And so I think putting into perspective, I heard you speak in interviews previously where you discussed about, the mindset, the high performance mindset of coming from diving, of having that big competitive background, which I'd love for you to speak a little bit about what your journey was within being a competitor, because I think setting yourself up to have this type of life afterwards and then creating a really strong foundation really set you up for success. It set me up for success. I think that being a competitive gymnast before I started working with Cirque and then trying to be or becoming like a creative entrepreneur, it really, it was a very supportive thing for me to be able to do. I think it helped me become a really dynamic, individual and create, I think, like a portfolio that supported me to wear those multiple hats. So what was the journey like transitioning from the competitive mindset into circus? And then how did you start to define yourself and make that transition into real estate while still having all of those different roles and titles that you assume so beautifully? Because you look gorgeous today.
oh, thank you. I, so obviously everything kind of happens for a reason and everything just kind of flowed through, and sometimes you just got to find the signs and go after them and make it happen. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I was a gymnast also, before I was a diver. So I started gymnastic when I was 5 years old, and I was a high level gymnast, but then I got injured when I was 12. I broke my femur and my back in the same year, and
Oh,
that was pretty devastating because gymnastics was my dream. The Olympics were my dream. And, I would wear my leotard to school because I just loved it so much. And so that was pretty devastating, but I wanted to stay in I went to sports school where it's a program where we go to school in the morning and then we train in the afternoon. It's a really strenuous training program, but it's for like high level athletes. And so I didn't want to leave that. All my friends are there. This is all I know is competing and doing that. But really the injuries took me back for about a year, and in gymnastics that's career ending. So anyways, I gave diving a try and I was just like, fine, I'll try it, and fell in love. Like, I was on the national team after 1 year. I became
Wow.
part of the national team, and it was just really love at first sight. The transition was really easy. I loved every minute I traveled. We trained so hard, but I wouldn't change anything. I, loved it so much. Again, another hurdle. I don't know if you remember the last Olympics when Simone Biles had the case of the twisties,
Oh,
where
yes.
kind of lost. And so it's very common and it's very difficult to explain to people who don't do sport. But the best I can explain it is two ways: is when you go down the stairs really fast and then you kind of get messed up in your steps. It's kind of the feeling. It's like, I know how to do this, but my brain kind of brain fart. It's the same thing. You do these movements so many times, so many repetition that, one day I went to twist and it wasn't there anymore. I just couldn't get over it. So after 6 months of really trying hard to get back from the twisties, I was burnt out. I was really unhappy, and just wasn't it. And to this day, it's like one of the things that, in life, no regrets. Like, you are where you are for a reason in your story, but like everyone's like, did you go to the Olympics? And you're like, no.
Always. Yeah,
I would
I
have
did the
gone.
same thing.
Not happen, because me and my partner did synchronized diving, and we were medaling at every competition that we were doing. We were doing really well. So should I had continued this, I probably would have gone to Athens in 2004. But hey, life had better plans. And so this happened. And then Cirque du Soleil being present I'm from Montreal. So I was training in Montreal. The headquarters of Cirque du Soleil is in Montreal. So they're very present in competition. And so we had befriended one of the casting person, who's still one of my friends today. And he was like, hey, if you're, ever interested in Cirque du Soleil, I'm sure you'd fit perfectly in one of our projects. So if you're ever interested, just give me a call. So when I left diving and I said, I'm throwing the towel, I can't do this anymore, I called them and I said, hey, I'm kind of interested. I still want to perform and do something, but I'm done with competitive diving. And so I sent in a cassette tape. Go.
Remember those, everyone?
Still have it here, but sent it in, and they were like, actually, you would fit perfect for this project that we have. So literally within 2 weeks, I went from national team diving to we're running away with the circus.
Officially.
Yeah, so ran away with the circus. I worked on a project that actually, in the meantime, I also visited a friend that was already in O, and
Mm.
I was like, I need a break. I just need to go on a vacation or something. So I came to Vegas to see my friend, and I saw her in O, and I was like, I want to do that. Like, this looks incredible. And then, like, meanwhile, all these incredible athletes, performers, artists, I got to meet everyone and see the world of circus. And I was like, I think this is where I want to be right now. Like, this is it. And so I joined and I did a project. I was in the research uh, stage, which became Corteo, but I didn't, make it all the way. I was like, I really want O, actually. I think this is what I want to do. This is my element with the water and diving and everything. So then I stayed in Montreal and trained for O, and a contract opened up at the end of the summer. And so I got the job for O in 2005, November 2005. And then I was in O for 5 years. Uh,
Mhm.
then there was an opportunity to go for the creation of the show Iris, which was in LA at the Kodak Theater. And so took that opportunity, went there, did the creation, lived in LA for 2 years, which was a huge step in my career. It was pretty incredible to live in California. It was so much fun. And like you mentioned earlier, the Academy Awards were one of the probably biggest highlight of my career. Like that was incredible. And the show was incredible, but in the wrong venue, in the wrong place. LA's market is really good, but in Santa Monica, Kodak Theater wasn't really like um, the crowd that wanted to pay the prices for Cirque shows. So, anyways, that closed. So I came back to Vegas. Hey guys, hey, take me back. And somebody was pregnant on Zarkana, so I went there and replaced her. I grew a ton as an artist. We the character that I did in Zarkana had a mic and would use a lot of voice and gibberish, and so kind of stepped up from acrobatic to more acting and voices. And I want to say acting, but we weren't talking. It was gibberish, but it was still like acting with movement. So I don't know what category that is. Is it mime? Is it? But I grew up in that show, and I'll never forget. And then once that person came back to the show, then something opened up at CAW. So I was at CAW for 4 years and loved it. Again, more stunt work, more
Mhm.
new stuff, less circus, but more, like I said, stunt. Yeah, a lot of harness work and learning a lot. And I backed up the twin sister, which is the main character. So again, lots of acting and lots of just new challenges. I love learning. I love doing new things. Um, uh, yeah, although I'm not a big risk taker, like doing all this and learning new stuff really kept me alive. And then somebody left at O and they were really, really short on staff. And they asked
Mhm.
if I would be willing to come and help. And so I was like, sure, I'll go back for 6 months and see if I can still fly. Like, I don't even know if it's still in me. And fell in love again with that active boat, which is Russian Cradle. And I was like, actually, if something opens up, I would really like to come back to O. So then a contract opened up and I went back to O. So I've been back there since 2017 and we're still there.
Wow,
So that's the
amazing.
circus, the circus trajectory that um,
Yeah.
took me to today, where we're still there. I signed for one more year and we'll see. We'll see where next year brings me. I'm getting a little old. It's becoming a little harder. We do 400.
Never.
We do 400, and this year we did 485 shows. So it's a lot.
Wow. Yeah, it's definitely a lot. How would you describe, Carolyn, to interject, and then you can go back until, what inspired, your transition into real estate and where you are now. But how have you seen, because you started O in the early 2000s, you are now in O in the 2020s. How have you seen the strip change? And what is your relationship to the show? How is it different from when you were there in the early 2000s and now as a worker, as a performer? Does it feel like it's very similar over the past 20 years? Or do you think the dynamics of working in a show day in and day out has shifted dramatically over that amount of time?
Um, that's a really good question. I feel like when I arrived there, I was a puppy. I was learning
Mhm.
from everybody, and the show had a ton of original people that had worked directly with Franco Dragone, and the level of respect for, Franco said this is the story, this is what it's supposed to be, and it's like you were bathing in this. I don't know how to explain, but this, like, I was coming into this world and just kind of like taking it in, and it was so close to the creation, so you could still feel Franco Dragone there every day. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and obviously, I have grown a ton of experience. I've grown myself as a person and being there, and I am now the veteran. A lot of people, I think we have like just a couple original people still, but I'm now one of the vets, and it's my job to transmit all this knowledge and try and keep the show's integrity. Well, it's not my job. That we have an artistic director, that's their job, but I feel like my knowledge, it's kind of my job to pass it down. And even with the new artistic directors, they'll ask questions and it'll be like, Franco's original idea was X, Y, and Z, and the zebra is supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and the thought behind. So it's kind of, it's really funny to be in that position now and be like, wait, I'm the one who knows stuff now. Like, people listen to me now. Like it's just a different, yeah, different position to be in.
Hmm.
And obviously things have changed tremendously. The company's, changed ownership 4 or 5 times. It's just very different time now than it was 20 years ago. And I think that's just life. It's normal.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Things change hands, things shift, demographics, cities, like that's just what they do. And I mean, speaking to your transition into being in real estate, how does that affect you doing real estate? In seeing the structure, the overall structure of Vegas, of Nevada, of, Henderson, of where you work, and being informed by that as an artist on the strip. And then also, too, now working in housing, development, real estate, all of those nuances that affect you in real time that you've been able to experience, and then taking that into the experience of your work as a real estate agent, as a flipper, as you do somebody that also runs like an Airbnb, I believe, like in Utah. So, you do multiple things in this realm now. But I think from a very unique perspective, as not just someone who lives here as a local, but as an artist that is like affected by the ups and downs. And we are like usually looking at things with such a specific lens, I think, as artists, as creative workers, in a way that maybe, other people in different sectors are not looking at in the exact same capacity or in the same way. Not that any is better or worse, it's just that it's very unique and specific. So, what does that feel like? And how do you incorporate, all of those things in reflecting on your work and then jumping into that environment? Did you feel like you kind of hit the ground running when you came into real estate here locally? Or did you feel like, I have, was it kind of a battle, or were you also able to use kind of the branding that you had as an artist to generate a community to support your new ventures?
Um, Yes, the multi layers to the question. Yes, my community in Cirque and my knowledge, like I've worked in multiple shows, therefore I know, like every show is about 200 people. So my
Hmm.
sphere of influence is
Hmm.
massive. Haven't been here 20 something years, and knowing this many people, it's definitely 1000% helped my business. Just, word of mouth is still, I don't care how much money people spend on Google, word of mouth is still incredible. It's still the best marketing. And so, yeah, that's definitely helps. To go back to like the first question, I now being in a business owner and working for myself and all these things, I understand that Cirque is also a business, and
Hmm.
the decisions that are made, like while you're an artist, you're like, why are we changing this costume? Why are we doing? You don't understand the changes that are happening, and you get so like sunken into the artistic world that you have to remember this is a business, and sometimes they will make changes to make it more profitable, make it more, sell more ticket, or like at the end of the day it's a business and they need to make money, and they don't always make decisions on what's best artistically. It's more what's going to bring more uh, people in the seats. So being in the business side, and I think I now understand this much more, so it helps. So you're not like, why are we doing this? Like, I don't understand, because times are changing, this didn't work, the numbers didn't come good, we got to change something, we're doing it. So I think that helps, um, also with my experience in real estate. And yeah, as far as real estate, like I actually came into real estate kind of by accident. So I have this passion for decorating and also, what is the word I'm looking for? Hospitality.
Oh, that's a very Vegas word.
I really geek out in
Mhm,
my Airbnb. Like, oh,
mhm,
I'm gonna do this cute coffee mugs because I want people to like feel good when they're in my place. Like, and
mhm,
not a lot of people care. Not a lot of people um love that, but I really, really geek out on this stuff. So I had an Airbnb and I had bought a condo here and I had made it all cute. It was kind of janky when I bought it and then made it all cute and then sold that, moved in with my now ex-husband. His house was needing some work. So we flipped his house, sold it, bought a house. Then we bought a rental. So we had done this quite a few times. And I was actually using my team leader now, Brendan King. And I was like, maybe I should get my license. Actually, I got pregnant and I had all this time because I wasn't in the show. And I was like,
mhm.
maybe I should get my license. And we could do this without using an agent. We could just buy houses, flip them, sell them, and then we kind of save up. Like I got all this time, so I'll just get my license. And this was in 2017, and 2016 actually is when I was pregnant, and then so got my license, and then passed my exam. I was 9.5 months pregnant. And if I didn't pass my exam, it takes about a month to be able to reschedule. I would have had a 2-week-old baby. There's no way I was going to pass it. So it was like now or never. And I did it. I passed it. And I was like, great, I did it. And then I had a job and I had a baby. I didn't really do anything with my license, but the idea was there to eventually like flip houses. That was my goal. This is what I want to do. And then we had this crazy pandemic show up. And I was like, well, we got time. The shows are closed. Um,
Mhm.
so let's try this real estate thing. Like, I don't see myself as a salesperson. But let's give it a try. And then to my surprise, I mean, there are a lot of salespeople, real estate people. But I still to this day don't consider myself as a salesperson. I help
Mhm.
people buy their first house. I help people sell their house and make them look the best that they can. I help people. I feel like it's more of helping than like me trying to convince someone to like, hey, you should buy a house. Or like, no, if you want my house, you contact me and I help you find it and I'll go above and beyond and find whatever it is that you want. But yeah, to this day I still don't consider myself a salesperson. So anyways, I gave it a try and I fell in love because of that kind of way more uh my English today. Still my second language. But yeah, the more helping side of things was what I fell in love with. And
Mm.
2020 was a crazy year to enter real estate. Things were moving fast. You had to be very competitive. You had to be very, it wasn't not normal to show like 20 to 30 houses for a buyer because it was so competitive. There was 10 to 12 offers on each house. So that's where my resilience and my hard work and it all came into play.
Thank God. Yeah, you had that in your
it
back
you
pocket.
have to be very resilient and find
Mm.
ways to make your offer look better, like what can we offer and blah blah blah. And that's how you did well in this market because there was no other way to make it work. And yeah, so when the shows reopened, I was like, well, I got this really good thing going on and I like it. And I'm not going to be able to do circus forever, so I'm going to keep doing both. So now we're in year 4 and it's very challenging. It's very challenging to do
Mm.
all that, be a mom, find time for myself and not burn out. I think that's my biggest challenge to this day is not burn out, like not burn the candle on both sides.
Yeah, I
That's
can
that
imagine.
yeah, that's my biggest challenge for sure. But I
Hmm.
know I don't have that much left in the tank for my circus career, so I'm trying to enjoy as much as I can. I mean, I'm 42. Like to be a flyer on the boat at 42 is
I mean, we're
it's
just gonna applause all day, every day for you in that way. And you're still super, super young anyway. But yes, we're still gonna acknowledge how many years that has been at this point too,
Yes.
because like yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And
Yeah.
I pinch myself sometimes because I've had, a really long career and I've been very, very lucky to not, knock on all the wood. To
Everything.
I didn't have to deal with too many injuries in my career. So I feel pretty lucky in that sense because, after 22 years, I feel like there should be a little bit more wear and tear. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so far so good.
You're fortunate and you've been able to stay in the game, and that's a really beautiful testament also too, I think, just to your overall character. And yeah, I'm just glad that you've been able to have a career in that way and been able to stay with it. Sometimes it's not, there's much more adversity for some people's careers, let's just be honest. And so I think we'll always take that as an easier road in a win in a very difficult and challenging environment. We're coming down to the last few minutes of the podcast, Carolyn, and thank you so much for, yeah, giving us, your time and your energy and your effort. And my last question to you is, if there is an artist that is interested in buying a house right now, what do you recommend? What would be their strategy? The housing market in Vegas and in Nevada has changed a lot since I even started living and working here on and off over the years. There was a point in time where people could gobble up something for 60,000, 80,000, 90,000. As someone who is from California, I have seen the rates go up and start to match California in some ways. Obviously, we are not California. And hopefully we never make it there because I'm from Northern California. Yeah,
We certainly don't have California taxes. That I'll never forget.
yeah. But you don't have that. So everybody just like listen to Caroline, listen to me. We know. So within that space, what advice would you give to someone, to an artist, and the artist lends somebody that maybe is in a resident show that could maybe not be in that resident show very much longer, that might end up being thrusted onto tour, somebody that is gigging right now, that is working, freelance in Vegas, somebody that is coming in and out of Vegas a lot, someone that might be, someone that is single, or someone that, just expanded and decided to have a family.
Yeah,
What is the market like right now? And just in a few minutes, I know that's a lot to ask on the exit of the podcast, but I feel like I would be remiss to not ask you about that important component of what you do for those that are in this industry that have several different dynamics that go into if you want to invest in property.
I would say there's always room for your budget and whatever it
Mm.
is. There's always an opportunity. So you might not be able to buy the house with the pool right away, but enter the game now. If it is a condo, at least you're not throwing money into a rent situation. And like a lot of people will say, like, yeah, but if I leave the city, like I don't have to to think about it and worry about it, but you get what you if you invest in yourself. You can always rent a property when you go on tour. You can always rent if you don't want this property. You can always sell if the big thing. But throwing money into rent, you're not building wealth, you're not entering the game. And like I said, I started my first property was a small condo at the time. This was in 2014. I know things are different, but it was $89,000, and I was mortified. I remember I was like, documents, I was like, ugh. And but then I sold that, and then we bought a house, and then we bought a rental, and we sold it, and then this is a long game. This isn't like stocks that go up. Like, this is a long term like investment, but you're investing in yourself and you're building wealth. You're not paying someone else's mortgage for them. So I would say just enter the game, and first of all, just get the conversation started with a lender. And we can recommend any lender. We have some good ones that we trust and are good, but don't be scared to get the money conversation started, because then you'll know what to expect. You say, hey, I want my payment to be 2,000 a month. Like, that's all I want to pay. Well, there's a property for that. And you chat with your lender, and they'll be like, when it's your first time buying a property, you don't actually need to put that much money down on a property. People are like, oh, I don't have that much saving. Typically, you don't need that much on when it's your first time. So there's different programs. And because when the economy gets a little bit more difficult, the government and they come up with different programs to help people buy and make it more affordable. So there are different programs that I don't know them all by heart. The lender would be the person to do that. But I would say just enter as soon as you can. I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Rich Dad, or Rich Dad,
Oh,
Poor Dad.
yeah.
And I remember this book really
I know
changing my
that book.
thinking on money. Yeah, and I encourage everybody to read it. I don't know if it's still relevant. If I read it today, if I would feel the same. But when I first started reading this book, I was like, this is, what am I doing? I got to get started. And I wish I started earlier. So if you're in your 20s and you buy a condo, my goodness, when you're like 40, you're gonna be far in the game. So just get started. Just wet your feet is
Oh,
my.
awesome. Oh, awesome advice, everyone. Listen to Caroline. And Caroline, how can folks get in contact with you if they are interested in learning more about your services?
Wow. Email, phone, Instagram, all of it. Do I say my phone number here? Or
I don't know. You don't, if not, if you don't want to.
yeah, website, email, call. I'm happy to set up even a Zoom meeting if we need to just discuss what are the steps. Because I think it seems really overwhelming for people to, where do
Mhm.
I start to buy a house? But it's actually not that overwhelming or difficult once you know the steps and once you know what to expect. And you can get your ducks aligned, before, even if it's like, hey, I want to buy a house next year, start now. Like, start, okay, we're going to set some money aside, we're going to talk to the lender, because sometimes your credit is pretty bad too, and that affects your interest rate and everything. So they'll say, hey, pay this credit card, wait a 3-month period, then we can apply for a pre-approval letter, and check your credit again. So there are different steps. So I would say start earlier than not.
Listen to Caroline, everyone. Circuspreneurs, Caroline says, start sooner than later. That is wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Caroline. You're just, a wealth of information. And thank you for sharing, your beautiful, beautiful experiences, as a circ artist, as a circuspreneur. And Caroline is also, available. She's in O. Go to see her, folks. she's
Yes,
on she's on stage. And, make sure you see her before she takes her final bow.
thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And this Circuspreneur podcast is also available on stagelink.com, stagelync.com. The groundbreaking new platform for live performing arts that provides unmatched access and connection to this vibrant world of shows and entertainment. If you're a professional in the performing arts, visit stagelink.com/pro. stagelync.pro. Stagelink Pro offers industry professionals higher visibility, networking opportunities, and tools to support and enhance their careers. Until next time, everyone, I'm your host, Shanae Stiletto. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Circuspreneur Podcast. Please join us on the next episode, and please stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you.